Hi everyone. Okay, so today I'm going to try to do a short video. It's going to be a review for yesterday's episode. What The Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 11, Not Untie. It starts off with, if I can remember right, and sorry, I watched this last night, I haven't been able to see this again, but basically started off with Jesus and the upstairs picking up a painting off the wall, sitting down and looking at it, Carl coming up behind him, asking him what he's doing in the house, and Jesus kind of being a little bit of a smartass, going, well, I'm sitting here looking at a painting, and Rick kind of comes in and kind of tells Carl it's okay, and this kind of SWAT scene kind of comes up where the rest of the group is going up the stairs. And I know this isn't the exact very beginning of it. There were some things that happened before it. Abraham was talking with Sasha. Sasha, they were joking around. Sasha was telling him that no, she's not going to be on patrol with him starting from the next day. That she's going to be over on a different guard post. Eugene's going to be with him. It cuts to, let's see here, there's a lot of things that actually happened in this episode, which happened a lot more than I thought there would be, and that happened with the last episode as well, where there's a lot more than I thought there would be. And I'll go into some of the things I thought they were going to maybe slightly touch on and not completely go through, but unfortunately, or even maybe fortunately, they went through. So after that, there was a talk between Maggie and Glenn. She's worried about the crop yield, kind of giving a situation that, once again, their situation is a little bit more dire than what we were originally thinking in episode 10, which is when they started saying that they were low on food and that they need to start looking for crops that they can grow. And then they kind of then after that you kind of see that something's going on in the area, the jail area, and they start heading in that direction. Well, we already know Jesus escaped, and when the entire SWAT scene kind of came up, the entire group that did look in on that jail area gets into Rick's house and starts going up the stairs, and they're all pointing guns. Rick lets everyone know it's okay, and Carl's there's kind of a shocked look by Carl, if I remember right, about Rick being there right with Michonne and the slight state of undress that they are in, that they're then kind of getting dressed. And the next time it cuts to them all sitting down, Rick, Michonne, Maggie, Jesus obviously, and a couple other people, and him saying that he comes from a community and they have been, he basically goes out and he starts trying to find other communities to trade with, and Maggie kind of brings up with, wait, that means that there's multiple communities that you do trade with, and Jesus sits back in his chair and says your world is about to get a whole lot larger, which is actually kind of interesting, and kind of waiting to see how they bring in other communities, what other communities there are, and everything. And it kind of then cuts to Daryl is fixing the front of what looks like an RV, and it suspiciously looks a lot like the RV that we've seen in the past season 2, which they're obviously going to reuse vehicles, props, and other things like that. Like there's the entire thing that people have pointed out that from Breaking Bad, I believe it's the drug bag and the blue meth, was something that I think it was Daryl or Merle had, and then Daryl talking about, but that's something else. Anyways, so it cuts to him, and Denise walks up to him, and she tries giving him something, says complex carbohydrates, and he says it looks like shit. And he says, I hope it tastes better than that. And he's kind of wondering why, and she says that, well, he reminds her of someone. It also has an entire little scene between Carl and Rick said that everything that happened with Michonne literally just happened right before that, and he didn't have time to tell Carl what was going on, and Carl said it was cool. But she obviously, yeah, with how he talked to Michonne earlier in the last episode, yeah, obviously he would be fine with this because he sees her as family. And the funny thing about this is Jesus refers to Rick and Michonne as Carl's mother and father, which kind of got him to stop when he was pointing the gun at Jesus for a moment. Another thing that Rick was thinking that Carl's going to go with them, and Carl says he's going to stay behind. And the one thing I kind of noticed was the shocked look on Rick's face when Carl said a kid with a damaged eye, or with what he had, wouldn't give off proper first impressions. And the look on Rick's face, he didn't know exactly. You could tell he didn't know exactly what to say. He had this shocked look on his face, and I think that there's going to be a talk between him and Carl a little bit later about that comment, or how Carl was feeling about having this eye missing. And then the entire trip kind of starts off, and on the way there to where they're going, which you later find out is the hilltop, as they say, on the way there. There's what looks like an accident, and there's zombies that are, one's underneath the car, one's kind of on top of the car, but kind of stuck there in kind of the wheelbase, what it looks like. And they're Jesus says that that's part of his people. Person I live with is now finding out that I'm doing doing a video. Tell you later. So, the group goes ahead, and Rick says that this better not be a trap. Maggie's going to stay outside with Jesus and is going to basically hold him by gunpoint. Rick says, if I whistle, shoot him. And they get in there, and they realize that there are zombies in there, and that there are other survivors. And one of the survivors actually is a doctor. On the way over to Hilltop, Maggie's talking with one of the people that they rescued, which is the doctor, and you find out that he used to be an obstetrician, I believe it is. I'm sorry if I'm wrong with the phrasing, but he used to basically deliver babies, and he said he'd be glad to help out. Now, when the group actually gets to the hilltop, Jesus talks to the people at the front gate. There seems to be a little bit of an issue, and then they get let in. Jesus goes ahead and tells them where exactly they actually are at. The mansion on top. I forget the actual name of the house or mansion, but that was turned into a museum. And he brings them in there, and is going to take them to basically the Hilltop's leader named Gregory. On the first encounter with Gregory, he says that they all need to wash up. Rick is pretty much saying, no, we can just go ahead and do this now, and Gregory's pretty insistent. When they're walking upstairs to kind of get washed up, Rick tells Maggie that she's going to have to do it, and she pretty much asks him why. He says that he would pretty much just shoot him, and he doesn't want to do that. This episode just had a lot of stuff to it, and I mean, they went through the entire introduction to Hilltop, and they started heading back by the end of the episode. And other things that happen in the Hilltop, Maggie talks to him, and he talks to Gregory. Gregory keeps calling her Natalie at the very beginning, pretty much disrespecting her. She tries to trade him antibiotics and guns. He's just not going to take it, and says that they have nothing to trade and that they need to work for it. And then a little bit later, I guess people from their group came back, and Gregory went outside to go see them. One of the people went ahead and attacked Gregory, saying that, right before that, saying that Negan has another person in their group, and that he has to deliver a message. Well, Gregory wants to know what the message is, and this guy attacks Gregory. Rick jumps in to attack the guy. There's a couple other people that come in to help. Abraham's one of those people. He starts getting choked out. Daryl comes over and breaks the guy's arm that's choking Abraham, so that way the guy can't choke him anymore. The guy that Rick went on to got the upper hand, put a knife to Rick's throat, and then when the guy was distracted, Rick put a knife into the guy's jugular and killed him that way. And Rick stood up, and he got punched by a woman. But pretty much the gist of it. And the reason you can kind of tell is that Negan's trying to scare them into killing the leader so that way he can get a bigger upper hand, is the way I'm kind of taking that entire scene. And the fact that one of the Hilltop died caused a little bit of tension, but Jesus kind of diffused the situation. And with Gregory now being stabbed, it caused actually kind of an opening for Rick and the group to say, hey, we've heard of this Negan guy. Daryl says that his guys are nothing but bitches because they took them down pretty easily. Granted, when you have a rocket launcher, things are going to be kind of easy. Just saying on that one. When you're actually getting into an actual gunfight, probably going to be somewhat different because you don't exactly have that upper hand. So, yeah, of course that situation is going to be somewhat easier than what it normally would have been, because there were quite a few guys on the bikes versus the three of them. So that situation could have turned out a whole lot worse had they not had that rocket launcher RPG. So he goes ahead and plays that, they're nothing really to deal with. They can handle the situation. Rick kind of backs this up, saying that they've dealt with other people like them. Jesus asks them how they deal with it, and Rick bluntly puts that the other people are dead. So, yeah, I understand that this entire video is getting a little bit long, but there was a lot to this episode. Once again, so much to this I didn't think that they were actually going to. Maggie, because of this, Jesus goes ahead and talks to Gregory, comes back, says that Gregory will talk to Maggie. Maggie goes in there, negotiates with him. Gregory tries to say that he has the upper hand, but Maggie then goes ahead and pulls the trick of Negan's going to keep asking for more and more and more until they have nothing left, and what then? He'll just kill all of you then, or he'll just kill you then. So she kind of pulls that entire trick back onto him and then has the upper hand, and then she asks for one thing on top. She asks for half their entire stuff right off the bat to deal with Negan, and then asks for one more favor. Well, you find out that favor so that way she can get a scan. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact machine, but it kind of shows the fetus inside the womb, and to take a picture of that. So when they're on the way back, which Jesus goes back, and one of the people that went to the compound, Negan's compound, is also going back with the group to Alexandria because the guy knows the layout of where Negan's group is at. Now, Jesus did tell them that at one point in time they did have 20 people all in one place, and for Rick's group, that's kind of a hard number to kind of pull on their end. So that's kind of saying that Negan might have a substantial sized group with him. So we're going to see how this entire thing kind of pulls out. I'm going to go ahead and do a predictions video, I'm thinking, on Wednesday, and kind of say what I think is going to happen in the next episode. And by the looks of it, I'll do that in the next video. I'm not going to say anything of what I think. On the total of how this entire episode went, some parts were kind of slow, but I like the fact that there was some action with it, and you get a firm understanding of the situation that's going on in, a pretty firm situation of what's going on in the Hilltop, and how the two communities can actually handle each other. I like the fact that sometimes you actually have to deal with a pompous prick, kind of like Gregory, and that they're starting to actually kind of have that a little bit more with certain characters. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I'm going to go ahead and say that out of everything, 0 through 10 and what I thought about this episode, actually I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9. I actually like this episode. It said a little bit more. It had a lot of interaction between the characters. There was something going on with Abraham that he was trying to figure something out between himself on kind of wondering what type of life that he wanted. He kept asking. He asked Glenn if them having a kid was on purpose or if it was an accident, and Glenn says that they were kind of preparing for this for a while, that they wanted to do this. And Abraham says that they have basically cojones grandes, large testicles, for doing this. But yeah, I like this episode. So if you enjoyed this video, I know it's kind of long. I'm sorry. I said I would try to keep it short, but unfortunately with an episode like this, which had a lot in it, it's hard to take things kind of short. So with that, if you enjoyed the video, please click like. Please subscribe to my channel. And go ahead and leave comments below on what you all think about the episode. And like I said, I'll be doing a predictions video on Wednesday. So you all have a good day.